Oh my gosh, this thing is huge. Oh. What's going on, crypto miners, and welcome back to the channel. Well, it's finally here. The Canaan Avalon Q, hyped up to be the best home crypto miner on the market. Let's get this unboxed. All right, we have a box inside of a box. Man, this reminds me of like an Apple iMac box. This is wild. So it was absolutely worth the wait. Guys, check this out. The quality on this is insane. I am very much impressed by this. So a lot to talk about today. We're going to go ahead and get into it. So first thing is, this is kind of some of the stuff that came with it. It has two USB Wi-Fi receivers, which is kind of weird. Maybe one was extra, I'm not really sure. It did come with these rubber feet as well. Now, it does have a mining pool card. I mean, they must have a partnership here with F2 Pool. They got a manual here that we're probably not going to read. And here's our cable. And actually, a C19 to, this is a NEMA 515P, normal outlet there. So, you know, this, what makes this one of the best home miners right now for Bitcoin. And no, this is not a solo miner. You could absolutely solo mine on it if you wanted to, but it's profitable to pool mine on it. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. But this will run on your traditional home outlet here in the States on 120, or if you need to, on 240. So let's take a first glance here, some things that we noticed. So on top here right away, you know, I believe this is a little handle for the side here. And take a look, there's actually holes here for like mounting ears if you were going to rack mount this kind of like on its side, if that makes any sense. Now on the front here, you can tell this is more of your intake. It's got this kind of mesh grill on this side of the unit. Some type of button here. I can't tell what that is yet, possibly power, RST. We do have a LED screen on here. This looks like some type of power light. We have USB, and it shows a little wireless signal on the front there. And then also it has for Ethernet, which is perfect. The Canaan logo here on the front. We have the Canaan logo on the side here. That looks really, really good. And then on the back side here, we have a toggle switch, which is fantastic. We do have our connection here, so that's where our plug is going to plug in. And that's really about it on this side. And oh, here's where those feet go. So actually, it's set up to lay on its side, it looks like, because that's where these rubber feet go that we do have right here. All right, before we go ahead and power this up, which I know you guys are all excited about, let's open it up and take a look inside. All right, check this out. So I'm going to take a whole bunch of guesses here. I don't have any more information than you guys do. This is the first time actually seeing inside of this unit. So bear with me as we kind of walk through things. So first look here, we do have, man, this is such a clean and also just detailed setup. Just the fact that like it shows front and rear. It's like, okay, cool. Like, but it's nice that these things are labeled. Even on the fan direction that you see here, all of that is entirely labeled. So we know for a fact that from the front of the case, the air is getting sucked into the front, going through the fans, getting pushed across the actual heatsink here. And this is really slick that the heat sinks are actually black. And then it's getting pulled, so the air is also getting pulled through and pushed out the back side here. Now you can actually see, which is actually really nice, is that you can, there's boatloads of these screws through the hashboard. So the nice thing is that let's say for some reason that you do need to repaste this looks like quite easily. You know, you can undo all of the screws, repaste it if you need to, and go ahead, clean up and put your heatsink back on. So that is pretty slick. So taking a look at the top here, we have some different, we have a board here, most likely managing, let's go over here first, and then we'll kind of flip this up. It might be a little bit easier. So we have an Canaan Avalon power supply at the top, which is really, really nice. You can see it actually supports, it says up to 1700 watts. So we're actually pushing that because I believe advertised this is 90 terahash at like 1,674 watts or something. So yeah, definitely pushing it there. 1,700 watts it has listed there. Has the receptacle there. It says C20. That's on the backside here as we talked about. Now, these are our bus bars. what you normally see on a normal ASIC. You know, we do have our positive and our negative there, our power and our ground going directly into the hash board. So this is designed like any other ASIC would be designed, where there's not that many parts and components. Power supply, hash board, and somewhere in here I think we have our control board buried. So now that we've gone through that, I'm actually going to try to flip this up one-handed. Oh, that's different. There's even like a sensor, or something right here. Look at that. Yeah, there's like a sensor. I accidentally bumped it. It's like a temperature sensor actually right there at the top. Wow. This is, that's heavy. Okay. So we flip that up there a little bit. So we have, actually, this looks like our control board here in the very, very front. Really? I'm taking guesses here, as I said. But the way I'm looking at it is, look, here's our yellow and black cable that runs back to the power supply, giving us power to our hash board. We have a ribbon cable on the far side in there. See if you guys can see that. It's right over there, right over here. Sorry, it refocuses. And then that weird sensor is actually plugs in on the other side. And then there's another, okay, this black cable here actually runs over to almost just like a fan controller is what I'm seeing here. So unless I'm missing something, I do think this is our front, this is our control board all the way up front here, which is very untraditional and very, very different. Looking through here, I'm not seeing a ton other things. I mean, yeah, the fan, we got fan cables running everywhere over to this side and this side. And I believe, just taking a look and put my hand back in here, there's only one control board in the middle. And we do have another heatsink. I can feel it on the other side. You can't really get to the other side easily, can we? No, we can't. Okay. So yeah, that really looks the way it's designed. Here's the ribbon cable coming down off of the top there. This is awesome. You could definitely tell that this is like Canaan's new flagship home miner, and they really put the time. I mean, this was supposed to come out, I believe, some time ago. They delayed it in order to address everything, and this is slick. Kudos to the Canaan team. I mean, this is not just like a cheap little home miner that they put out. This is pretty cool. All right, so let me get the side of the case put back on. I guess we're just going to take one of these. I already put the feet on. We'll put that on, and this just goes in here. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing plugged in. All right, moment of truth. We are plugged in to our watt meter here, and let's go ahead and hit that toggle switch. A click. I got some fan sounds here. All right, we have a white indicator light here on the front. I see back in there some red and green lights. Here we go, W05. Isn't that an error code? Oh boy. All right, we have a green light on the front, 0.0.0.0 for the IP address, which makes sense. All right, so I'm going to take a guess that we need to, there we go, says it's on eco mode right now, but I'm taking a guess that we need to break out our Canaan Avalon family app to get this configured on our home wireless. So let me take a look. All right, so I did go ahead and take a look at the manual because my guess is this might have been tested right before it was sent out to me. So it wasn't in this Bluetooth state, this kind of ready to connect type of state, which needs to be blinking blue. So I just held the reset button for 5 seconds. So if you guys do get one of these and you have the same situation, just hold the reset button for 5 seconds. It gets us back into this mode. Actually says device QCC9A. And down here on the family app, it shows up. This is an app that you download, the Canaan Avalon family app. And this is where you actually can originally manage, and you will connect to this via an ad hoc Bluetooth connection, and then we'll configure the wireless. So let me get that done, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, we got all set up in the family app here. You can actually see the device is up and running. You can see I have a Nano 3S and a Nano 3 here as well. Now the nice thing is on the screen here, it does show you like what mode it's in, as well as the hash rate. Now I haven't configured a pool yet, so we're not going to see anything. But the nice thing is, if it's going to come up here, is, I think W07 is actually no pool configured, but the nice thing is in just a second, we're going to see that the IP address comes up, which is nice and convenient because my goal is to, there it is right there, 86.192.168.86.51. So let me jump over to the computer because that's going to be much easier to show you guys. All right, so I came over to the computer and I went to the IP address that we saw on the front of the unit, 192.168.86.51. That brings up this screen, and this is actually a little different than a lot of the other Canaan Avalon products where it required you to do the QR code at the bottom there. This is kind of nice because it's just asking us for the password, which is really convenient. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the password, and here we are. Now, it's throwing an error in the upper right-hand corner because there is no pool set yet, so it's just kind of sitting dormant. If you're curious, right now it's using 7.5 watts, which is nothing. It is not set up yet or ready to go. So a few things that we can do here. So one thing I wanted to point out is the working mode. And you can do all of this within the app, which is really, really nice. So the working mode says super right now. And the one thing I did notice, and I'm not seeing it unless I'm missing it, I can't change the mode from the actual dashboard here. I can't change it up. You actually have to do that from the family app. But we can configure our pool, which is nice and convenient. Now, something to take a look at coming over to Canaan's website, scrolling down, there's lots of great information over here. I'll link this down below, but here's what I'm interested in right now. The super mode uses that 1600 watts as originally advertised. I think it was like 1674, and we'll put it to the test. Standard mode's 1300 watts, and then eco mode is 800 watts. So I love the fact that we have options because I know for a fact if you run this in a bedroom or in an office, you might not even have that many watts available to use because a traditional 15 amp, 120 volt in a normal US home is not going to have all that power available to it. Most people don't have an empty breaker just readily available to be used. So we're going to put it to the test today. We're going to test out all three modes, what the hash rate is, and what the watts at the wall is, because yes, they're advertising watts here, but how accurate is it? So jumping over here, we're going to go ahead and click on, and this is where we can enter in our pool, our worker, and our password. And for today's video, I am going to use Via BTC. I've been using them for a lot of my SHA-256 Bitcoin miners. And so over here, we're going to come down to the very bottom left. We're going to copy the stratum after we've created our account. We're going to go back over to our device. We're going to paste that in here at the top. For worker for me, and we actually, the syntax is your account name dot worker ID. So of course, the hobbyist miner dot, and I'm just going to put Avalon Q. And for the password, we're going to put X. And I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And this is going to be our first test on the super mode to see what it uses at watts at the wall, as well as what hash rate it does. So I'll be back here in a little while. All right, well, our first test did not go as expected. Why? Well, because we actually popped the breaker. So you can see breaker is popped here. The only thing on this breaker is really my downstairs office, the room in here, and that. So we're going to go ahead and move the unit into this. Used to be a mining room. We have a dedicated 30 amp to 40 volt in here. So we're going to hook it up in here. Let's try again. All right, it's been 15 minutes. Let's take a look. So on the super mode, we're pretty much 1700 watts spot on. Now, to keep in mind, this is a Bitcoin miner, so it is going to pump out a massive amount of heat. And I just set this up over here to give you guys an idea. 112 Fahrenheit or 44 C. So this is not something you're just going to put in your bedroom, especially right now during the spring and summer. And, we talk about this as a home miner. Well, what makes it so great? One of the big things is how quiet it is. This thing literally just sounds like a ceiling fan. Check out the levels. 46 to 47. It's just a slight hum. All right, let's jump over to the computer and see if it's performing as we expected. All right, taking a look on the dashboard itself. We've been up for 15 minutes. It says we're using 1,656 watts. It's off by about 50 watts, but that's pretty dang close. Now, real-time hash rate is at 93 terahash, which is awesome. And our average during this 15 to 16 minute time period is 86 terahash. So are we getting the advertised hash rate? I would say absolutely yes. When I jump over to Canaan's website here, scroll down, they're saying 90 terahash at 18.6 joules per terahash, which is about 16.75. I would say this is absolutely accurate. I would say the watts are a little lower advertised than actual, but I will take it. We are only off by about 25 watts total, which is pretty respectable. Now, scrolling down, it is saying here from a dB level 45 to 65. This is absolutely accurate. Right now, we are at that 47 dB level. So this is really on the low side when it comes down to the advertised, which I'll absolutely take it. So what's up next? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and swap this over to the standard mode, and we'll do the exact same test. All right, it's been another 15 minutes. We are on the standard mode, coming in at 1,371 watts. We're still definitely pumping out that heat upwards of 114 Fahrenheit. And let's check out our dB level. 41 to 42. This is absolutely quieter. The fans have definitely calmed down even more. Let's jump over to the computer and take a look at the performance. All right, so we're definitely getting the 1,300 watts that's advertised for that standard mode. Looking at the dashboard right now, we've been up for 15 minutes on the standard mode, and we're at 79.58. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the eco mode. All right, so eco mode is crazy impressive. So let's take a look here. We're at 846 to 845. The amount of heat getting pumped out the back, you can barely actually feel it now. It's not coming out much. And look at the dB meter. Check this out. 38 to 39. Wait till you see the hash rate. So on eco mode, we're doing really well at 53.26 terahash. So we spit it out a whole bunch of numbers with our hash rate, with our watts at the wall, our dB levels. So I threw all that over here on a quick and easy spreadsheet. And as you guys can see, as we go down in the modes from super to standard to eco, the efficiency gets better and better, putting us we actually broke 16 for the eco mode efficiency at 15.9. And you can see that dB level going down more and more. So this miner is absolutely performing as I would have expected, to be honest with you. Well, let's look at things. So if we jump over to Mining Now, which is a great website and tool to use, definitely recommend that you guys bookmark it here. This is set up to give us the kind of profitability numbers and electricity numbers. So it only has the 90 terahash. That's super listed here. So keep that in mind. Do your own math, do your own calculations as you start to look at the other modes. But right now, income per day, this unit at the current state, and we're a little bit lower, about 104 for the price of Bitcoin currently right now at the time of recording this. Per day is about $5.02. And it's really going to vary on the actual electricity costs. So for me, I'm going to be running this at my ASIC shed for the amount of power that this is pulling. It's going to run me about $2.81 a day because I'm just over 7 cents over there. But I don't expect everyone to be at 7 cents. I think it's more of an anomaly. So let's crank this up to something like 15 cents, which I think is a little bit more of the norm, at least here within the US. That being said, we go from $2.81 to $6 a day. So it's pretty pricey. With that in mind, we're actually losing about $1 a day to run this. Now, does this open the door as a home miner to stack Bitcoin and DCA into Bitcoin every single day? Absolutely. But you do have to keep in mind that if you run this at super mode, which is above and beyond, that's 1,700 watts. It's going to be expensive. With that being said, I don't think you're going to run this solo mining, especially on super mode, because that's expensive. That's $180 a month to solo mine with this. Now, you could do it. If we go over to Solo Luck, you could see that 90 terahash will give you about a 1 in 70,465 chance to hit a block per day, which is worth 3.125 Bitcoin, or 1 in 194 per year. But that investment that you invest in electric every single day, Ooh, that's a lot. I mean, per year, you're spending $2,200 to play the Bitcoin lottery, so I don't recommend solo mining with this unit. So all of that being said, do I recommend this for home miners? Absolutely. This is fantastic. Does it live up to my expectations? Yes. Does it live up to the advertised numbers? Yes. One concern I have with this model is, as a home miner, I don't know if a lot of people are going to be able to run this on the super mode using 1700 watts. That's a lot for a traditional 15 amp 120, which runs traditionally at 1800 watts. So keep that in mind, that if you do go ahead and pick this up, you may be running this on eco mode or on the standard mode. Guys, that's going to wrap things up for today. I'd like to give a huge shout out to the team over at Canaan for sending us over the Avalon Q for today's video. Good luck in the giveaway, guys. I'll see you guys next time.